This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 11th day of May in the year 2021. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. The construction of a cement manufacturing facility at the back of South Ranville Gardens has been ordered to cease operations by the Central Housing and Planning Authority and the Georgetown City Council. The developers of the facility, Superior Concrete Incorporated, was today served the third contravention notice by the Housing Authority and the cease order from the City Council. Residents in the area have raised concerns about the construction of the concrete manufacturing facility in the area. For the construction of such a facility, it is mandated by law that the investor would need to seek approval from the Environmental Protection Agency, the Mayor and City Council, and the Central Housing and Planning Authority. No approval was granted by any of those agencies. The Minister of Housing, Colin Crowe, visited the site of the construction today in the company of the CEO of the Central Housing and Planning Authority. One of the directors of the company demanded that the minister and the housing CEO leave the area, declaring that it was private property.
I'm happy to meet with you guys, but the private media is not the government agency. You guys are taking a government action right now. It is not for public consumption. So I'm happy to meet with you. I'm happy to meet with them, but we're not going to do this with the media present. Okay? So you let us know what you want to do. Would you like to meet with us?
A controversial notice has been served without. I'll address you.
Thank you very much, sir. It's time to leave then. No.
The officials refused to leave and instead ensured that the company was served with a contravention notice.
We all, as a government, we welcome investments. We welcome all type of investment. But there must be a manner in which investments are done of approval process, an application process. And the first stop agency for construction permit is the CHPA, Central Housing and Planning Authority. In fact, I'm going further to advise that if you're seeking to invest and you want to have clarity on the area, particular area, then CHPA is the agency for you to stop at to inquire on the land use, because as part of our zoning has responsibility of the land use, the approvals, they're for different purpose. And so that is our clear position, and we will now be moving to the next step of within our legal ambit to address this matter, both at the level of the non-approval, as secondly at the level of dealing with anyone who would simply take a contravention notice that is being served by an arm of the state and to disrespect the officers and total contempt of the CHPA, Central Housing and Planning Authority.
The first contravention notice was served to the company on the 5th of May by enforcement officers attached to the Central Housing and Planning Authority. The officers reported that the notice was destroyed by representatives of the company, prompting a second notice to be served on the 8th of May. Minister Kroll explained today that all the necessary legal frameworks will be employed by the state to ensure that the issue is resolved.
In any activity that is deemed illegal, we always serve the notice first, and they must have a due process. So in this case, they cannot now say that they're not aware. But certainly to have an investment of this nature, a magnitude of this investment, without even contemplating of applying to the relevant agency, even applying, that was not done. Certainly it does not augur well, and we want to make a statement in that regard.
The Georgetown City Council has also moved in and has issued a cease order of its own against the company. Mayor Ubraj Narayan explained to News Source earlier this evening that the council will also be engaging its attorneys to take action against the developers of the illegal facility.
Okay, on a visit on Saturday, I find in Houston Estate there a lot of illegal work is currently going on there, and the council took a decision yesterday that statutory a cease order must be sent and an injunction should file on Houston Estate and all the companies. The council had appointed the deputy mayor to deal with our lawyers and move forward in filing that injunction.
I understand that residents from the area raised concerns with your council.
Yes, residents also raised concern with the council, the companies, the investors that are back there, they're damaging the roads in Caneview Avenue and other areas. So those are critical areas of concern that residents raise, and we act upon those things.
The company Superior Concrete Incorporated is said to be owned by 3 foreigners who registered the company recently in Guyana after acquiring the land from a private developer. More news coming up in just a moment.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people, we have
weathered every storm
And risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
regardless of race,
class, or religion.
we are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
I am Anne Green from Director of Children's Services from the Child Care and Protection Agency. I just had my vaccination and I'm encouraging other persons to come out. COVID-19 is really getting serious, so I'm encouraging persons to come out and get your vaccination.
Mobil 1 is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil 1 adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Sol Guyana is the authorized distributor of Mobil lubricants.
At Sash Financial, we create strategies for strengthening business and personal finances while helping our clients to build sustainable wealth. Our financial and business consultancy services are uniquely tailored to ensure every client receives quality packages and optimal results. Our financial services include financial reporting and analysis, financial status assessment, internal audits, bookkeeping and records management, financial planning advice, tax returns. Our business advisory services are related to business plans, business startups, operational improvement, business management, document preparation, procedures development, efficient marketing. Call or WhatsApp us today for your free consultation on telephone number 592-665-6045. Sash Financial, strengthening businesses, building wealth.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong, be the one to live right.
Mom, what are you doing with GPL on your list?
Child, you forgot I have to pay GPL?
You got time with GPL.
I have to keep these lights on. The customers who think in that manner and refuse to honor their obligation to GPL are obviously not playing their part in ensuring quality service delivery. So, I will continue to pay my GPL bill on time, every time.
I recognize the value of your point, Mom. You were right.
Welcome back. Caricom leaders have agreed to appoint longtime Belizean diplomat Dr. Carla Barnett as the new Secretary General of the regional body. Dr. Barnett will be the first woman to lead the 47-year-old organization. At the special meeting of Caricom heads of government this morning, Dr. Barnett emerged as the unanimous choice. She replaces Ambassador Erwin LaRock and will assume office in August. Ambassador LaRock has been serving as Caricom Secretary General for the past 10 years. Dr. Barnett is a former Deputy Secretary General of Caricom and also served her home country of Belize as the Vice President of the country's Senate. She also held a number of ministerial portfolios in Belize over the years. The incoming Secretary General attained her PhD in Social Sciences from the University of the West Indies in Jamaica and also holds a Master's of Science degree in Economics from the University of Western Ontario in Canada and a Bachelor of Science degree in Economics from UWI. Caricom heads of government have extended best wishes to their new Secretary General, who will be based here in Guyana. Let's tell you now that days after opposition leader Joe Harmon expressed concerns over recent announcements of planned reforms of the Guyana Elections Commission and requested a meeting with the team spearheading the efforts, the International Republican Institute team met today with the opposition leader and his team. The IRI team comprised its resident director Dorota Risey and its local representative Sarah Barrett. The opposition leader was accompanied by members of Parliament Kemraj Ramjatan, Amanda Walton Desir and Roysdale Ford, along with advisor Aubrey Norton. Speaking after the meeting, the opposition leader said he considers any reform of the Elections Commission an important matter and is supportive of electoral reforms. But he cautioned the team that the government might be using the work of the team for its own personal agenda, pointing to recent statements by the Attorney General, who noted that the project will be utilized to penalize certain officials of GCOM.
We also discussed the definition or the assumptions which were made about what civil society is in Guyana. That many organizations were either who were not supportive of the government were punished, and those who were supportive of the government were rewarded. And so in consulting with civil society, those assumptions needed to be very clear.
Further, the opposition leader requested the terms of reference guiding the project and queried from the IRI officials how they intend to arrive at a position that is consistent with the country's political culture and the history of Guyana.
One other point which we discussed was this question of the reform of the Elections Commission. And we asked the director what was their concept of an independent GCOM. How will they arrive at a position that was consistent with our own political culture and the history of Guyana? This, of course, she said that they had no clear idea on how it will emerge, but that they will consult with civil society and Guyanese on the way forward, how they are going to determine what, if any at all, reforms need to be made to the Elections Commission.
And Mr. Harmon said the opposition also raised concerns about several of IRI's international directors, who he said have been promoting voter suppression in the United States.
We also spoke about the concerns which our supporters had here in Guyana and in the diaspora about the board of directors of the IRI that included several senators from the Republican Party that had been promoting voter suppression in the United States of America. And we felt that that could have had an impact on the way the project was rolled out here in Guyana.
The opposition leader said the director made it clear that the project is being funded by the U.S. Department of State, and she herself is an international human rights lawyer. She assured that she will not be engaged in any political work. The director has promised to meet with the opposition team to provide regular updates moving forward. The electoral reform project is expected to receive support from other international agencies and other countries. Close to 2 years after a section of Hunter Street was closed off for reconstruction, it was finally reopened today and commissioned by the Works Minister Bishop Juan Edgel. The completion of the over 300-meter-long section of the road was done by Vera Logistics, Array Paving and Ideal Engineering. More than $170 million was spent on the project. The original contract was signed back in 2019 with a 6-month timeline. However, a number of defects prolonged the project. The original contractors were replaced after missing several deadlines. With the completion of the project, commuters now have an additional access road to get to the East Bank Demerara corridor. Minister of Works Bishop Juan Edgel described the project as part of a road Bible for the government.
We have just compiled, with the help of our engineers, both from the Ministry of Public Works and the engineers attached to the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, what we are describing as the Road Bible. It means that every street in every local authority area, every major highway, every connection have been examined, measured, and there is a report on its status.
The minister said a number of roadworks will be examined as the government moves ahead with the planned major road projects along the east bank of Demerara. He, however, warned that not all of the projects will get started soon, since many of them are dependent on the availability of funds.
All of that must be factored into a context of what is available in the pot. We could only spend based upon what we have. So we're not trying to neglect anyone, but we're trying to do several things at the same time. We are making steps. They might not appear to be big steps right now, but I can tell you they are significant steps.
And with a number of new projects streamlined for this year, the Minister of Works said there will be a need for new contractors. He's encouraging contractors to get registered. The Ministry of Health has noticed that many of the persons who got their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine and are due for that second dose have not been returning for the jab. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony today said he is very concerned about the situation. He says citizens need to understand that they must be fully immunized to be fully protected against COVID-19. All of the vaccines being offered in Guyana are 2-dose vaccines. Dr. Anthony said while the number of people receiving their first dose of the vaccine is high, the figures representing those returning for the second dose are extremely low, and it's worrying.
On average, we have about 2.5% of the persons getting their second dose. But again, we see variations in how people are coming back for their second dose. And that's something that we want to encourage, because on the upper end, we have 3.9% of persons in Region 2 have returned for their second dose, while in Region 1, we are just at 1.2%.
While the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Sinopharm vaccine is identical to the first dose, the second dose of the Sputnik V vaccine is different from the first. The health minister is appealing to the public to go to the vaccination centers on the date given for the second dose and ensure they get fully vaccinated.
For those who have already received their first dose, the process does not end with the first dose. You have to come back and get your second dose. So that's something that we have to appeal to people to get their second dose as well.
Dr. Anthony said it is appearing that encouraging persons to get both doses of the vaccines is a new battle that his ministry will have to take on. More than 157,000 persons across Guyana have received a first dose of the vaccine. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health reported today that the death toll from COVID-19 in Guyana continues to rise. 4 more persons died in the past 24 hours from the virus, taking the death toll to 331. The Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit has issued a wanted bulletin for a 47-year-old man in connection with the discovery of 207 pounds of marijuana at number 68 Village, Caricom. The wanted man's name has been given as Omish Lakeram from Corentyne, Berbice. According to a statement from KANU, at around 4 o'clock this morning during a surveillance operation in the number 68 village area in Corentyne, 4 persons were spotted walking through a track with flashlights near the shoreline. After the KANU officers identified themselves to the men, the 4 men dropped a number of bags and ran in different directions. KANU said its ranks attempted to pursue the men but called that action off because of concerns about their safety in the area. In the bags that were dropped by the men, KANU ranks discovered 80 large parcels of marijuana. The marijuana has since been transported to the KANU headquarters here in Georgetown as it continues its investigations.
Hi, I'm Nias Suban, and I took my vaccine, my COVID-19 vaccine, and I want to encourage everyone who are looking at me right now or listening to me on radio to be able to take your vaccine as well. It is very important that we do that, simply because this is something that is spread by humans to humans, and if it is our action that can only help to stop the spread of this pandemic. So I want to encourage all of you. I spent 50 days in the COVID IC unit, and I documented my story. Many people know what I went through. I saw what others went through, and because I saw and because I know, I want to encourage all of you to take your vaccine. Our collective action can help to stop the spread of COVID-19.
Across the region tonight, illegal miners inside a protected area in the Brazilian Amazon opened fire on an indigenous community using automatic weapons. The Yanomami group said they responded with bows and arrows and shotguns. 1 indigenous person and 4 miners were injured. An estimated 20,000 illegal gold miners are in the Yanomami area, Brazil's largest protected indigenous reserve. Violence in the Amazon has increased under the current president, Jair Bolsonaro. The far-right president, a critic of the size of the indigenous reserves, has promised to open some of them to agriculture and mining. His government has weakened environmental protections, and critics say his rhetoric has emboldened illegal activity in the region. In Trinidad and Tobago, at least 1 million Trinidadians need to be vaccinated to achieve herd immunity from COVID-19. This is according to the country's chief medical officer, Roshan Parsuram, who was speaking this morning at the COVID-19 news conference. He urged citizens to take the vaccine. Parsuram said that the vaccines are among the most important public health interventions in history, adding that if uptake is great, herd immunity can be achieved. Approximately 70% of the population need to be vaccinated to meet the goal, which he said would protect more vulnerable subsets who may not be able to receive the vaccine. According to the World Health Organization, herd immunity is the indirect protection from an infectious disease that happens when a population is immune. This is achieved through vaccination or through previous infection. And finally tonight, international news. Palestinian militants say they fired 130 missiles at the Israeli city of Tel Aviv after an Israeli airstrike felled a tower block in the Gaza Strip. The 13-story building was attacked an hour and a half after residents and local people were warned to evacuate, according to the Reuters news agency. Israel's military says it is targeting militants in Gaza in response to earlier rocket attacks. At least 31 people have died in some of the worst violence in years. The international community has urged both sides to end the escalation, which follows days of unrest in Jerusalem. Militants have already fired hundreds of rockets towards Jerusalem and other areas. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.